So, Tale of Four Gamers, we're actually doing it, or at least seeing how far we get through doing it. In the previous video, I went through the multiplayer campaign from the Warhammer Fantasy 5th edition Battle book. A friend of mine's planning to run this as an event once, events are a thing again, and a group of us are going to use this as an excuse to build some new armies and sort of revel in the nostalgia. Over the next few months, we're going to try and do a Tale of Four Gamers style series, checking in with 4 people as we try and build and paint our armies, with the goal of having a 1500 point fantasy army ready for some vague point in the future. I should say that RTO Ben has made a few tweaks to the old campaign rules, mostly to try and balance out for some of the armies that are hit particularly hard by the restrictions. In this video, I'm going to check in with the 3 other gamers, see what we're all planning to build, and then we'll do the territory draw. So Russ, hi, you're first up. Can you tell us what army you're playing?
Hey, and yeah, I'm going to be using Chaos, specifically Chaos Warriors. I was slightly difficult choice. I was slightly tempted by Dark Elves or slim possibility of Orcs and Goblins, but yeah, settled on Chaos as the definite choice.
And what was the decider? What made you go with Chaos?
Well, 2 main things. First of all, I'll just hold up this little guy to the camera. Jess Goodwin Chaos Champions. I own all of them. It's one of my proudest things that I own. So I want to make use of them. And the other thing is this, the old 3rd edition Realm of Chaos book with all the Ian Miller illustrations. You can see some of them just up there behind me. This is my spare one that I got dirt cheap from a secondhand bookshop. So framed some of the artwork up there. It's the army that I wanted when I was 13 years old, and now I'm able to afford to actually build the army I really, really wanted back then.
Chaos in 5th edition worked a little bit differently to every other army, and you're doing Chaos Warriors. Can you give everyone a bit of a brief background on what that was?
Yeah, so previously Chaos had just been sort of one army list, and it might have been split up by the gods, but they did things a bit differently in 5th edition. It came as a box set, and they broke it down into 3 strands. There's Chaos Warriors, which is the mortals of Chaos. So it's your Chaos Warriors, your Chaos Marauders, the Knights, and things like that.
I guess that's probably what we call like Slaves to Darkness now, but it doesn't.
Yeah, I suppose so. That is actually now the modern Slaves to Darkness, isn't it?
You build them differently as well, don't you? They're like built as a warband.
Yeah, so one at a time, you select a hero, so it could be just a champion, it could be a hero or a lord, and you have to select at least as many points as his value of actual units. And then once you've selected as many units as you want to go with him, you choose another champion or sorcerer or hero, buy some units for them, and so on and so forth.
How many warbands do you reckon you can fit in 1500 points?
Well, it might really depend on how many heroes I'm allowed from territories later. So I think a maximum of 3. I think maybe like a large one, a medium-sized one, and a small one. Otherwise, I think you're sort of diluting what you're trying to do too much. So yeah, not many at 1500 points.
And in this specific campaign, is there anything you particularly want to include?
Yeah, well, it's not a Chaos army without Chaos Warriors. So there's got to be a block of Chaos Warriors there, hopefully as big as I can make it, but I need to be a little bit realistic about the fact they're quite expensive. And I never had the Chaos Knights. I had the plastic horses rather than metal ones when I was a youngster. So now I want to include it with those lovely metal horses. So definitely some of them. And I'll probably include a small Beastman warband alongside, just so it's got something as a bit of a block of troops. And then, I'll pick the rest from your Marauders, your Chaos Hounds and things like that.
And how are you gonna build this? Are you building it all at once? You doing it unit by unit?
My plan is to build a small 500 point army, which I can then use for some tiny little practice games to try and learn the quirks of 5th edition, because I've never played 5th edition, only 3rd and 4th edition. And then sort of extend that gradually as I go, maybe 250 point units, or try and do another 500 point blocks up to, and I'll probably go well beyond the 1500 point limit. I can see this going up to more like, 2,500 points. Yeah. But you know me, I'm a notoriously slow painter, so it might be that I'm desperately trying to paint whatever I can paint quickest to be ready for an event or something.
It's good though. That's like a traditional Tale of Four Gamers method of doing it, right? You paint up a block, then you add a block each month.
Yeah, that's kind of one of the reasons I wanted to do it. But yeah, it's how I do things anyway. So
we got the draw on Monday. Final thing, we've got this big draw on Monday to sort out what territories we all get, which is being done as a big campaign-sized Zoom call. Is there anything you particularly need or don't need? Anything you're looking out for?
Definitely don't want any forests. Forests will be completely useless to me because I can't take any war machines from my chaos list, and I don't own any chariots, so don't need any forests. Please no forests. It'd be nice to have some settlements, maybe to get some extra champions or heroes. It's always nice, I think, in a chaos army to have those personalities that actually sort of give you something to focus on in the list.
Cool. Yeah. Thanks, Russ. I'll see you then after we do the draw.
Yeah, definitely, with Gary and Bobbie.
See you in a bit. So next up is Bobbie. Hi, Bobbie. What are you going to play?
Hi, Ian. I'm going to be playing vampire counts.
Ah, great. And what made you choose vampire counts?
Well, I'm a bit of a big old goth, and I love the classic fantasy tropes as well. And putting both of those together, vampire counts was just the easy choice. You've got the vampires, the skeletons and zombies, all the kind of the old school Halloween ideas. You just don't find them anywhere other than in fantasy. They're very archetypal fantasy army.
Cool. There was an undead army book, and then there was vampire counts, and there's Tomb Kings as well. How does that all, in this era, how does that all work out?
In 4th edition fantasy, there was the Undead Army book, which is kind of all of the bestiary D&D horror tropes. So you got skeletons, you got zombies, you got ghouls, you got ghosts, you got mummies, all of these things that everyone's very familiar with from Hammer Horror and the real classics. Then World of Darkness comes along with Vampire the Masquerade in the mid-90s. And I think someone at Games Workshop must have at least glanced at it before writing the Vampire Counts supplement, because you start getting the more focus on the vampires, the different clans, and them having a bit more personality, some more special characters. And then the army becomes their minions. The skeletons and the zombies are risen by the vampires as their undying armies.
It's still most of what was in the Undead Codex. It's
almost all of the same units. They lose a few things. Skeletons become a little less nimble and stop using bows and catapults and are just reduced to melee fighting. Things like mummies disappear, only to come back later in 6th edition with the Tomb Kings.
Okay, great. So you're doing vampire counts. Is there anything in this campaign that you particularly want to include in the army? Have you got all the models already, or have you?
I've got a couple of models that I've had knocking around for years that I've been meaning to do something with. I've got a Necromancer figure already that I've painted up. Luckily, Games Workshop is still producing 1 or 2 models that have existed since 5th edition, notably the zombies, the absolutely classic zombies. I bought those because they're the correct sort of period and still in production. And there's a couple of other things, bat swarms and fell bats I've picked up because they're lovely old models. They may not quite stand up to the scrutiny of the modern digital sculpting, but they've got the character of the period, and that's why we're doing it. I think a lot of us love that.
There's a sort of low-key competition on the group at the moment for who's got the oldest models.
I don't think I'm going to win that one, but the nostalgia factor of the old sculpts is a very strong draw for me for this. I'm also lucky enough to still own this classic Games Workshop Cecil Miniatures catalogue from 2000. It's not the oldest catalogue. They did do quite a few before this, but this is just at the period that 3rd edition 40k and 5th edition fantasy were going, and those for me were the editions I really got into these games. I want to be able to just send a form into mail order with the bits that I want, but it is still useful for checking out what was available.
Are you trying to make it quite a 5th edition period appropriate army, or is it
I'm trying. There's going to be a few models that I'm going to use from other eras. I'm hoping to get a few earlier figures. There's a few units, like in particular, I want to run some Graveguard because Graveguard are quite cool. They're quite a tough unit. Mm-hmm. And my vampire needs someone to keep them alive. But the Graveguard from this era are not my favourite sculpt. There's a later one that's a little more ornate. They've got hand weapons and shields rather than 2-handed weapons. I'm going to use some models from a few different eras, but try and keep the sculpting style.
How are you planning on building this then? Are you going to do it, I assume there's some batches, are you going to do it unit by unit or a couple of units a month or all at once?
I'm going to work on it as I go. There's a lot of models to paint, at least in theory. I haven't written a solid army list yet. I'm waiting for the draw of the territories. But it's a horde army. Of all the fantasy armies of this era, it's not the biggest. There are definitely armies that can field more miniatures, but it's up there. I've already got 40 zombies. That's going to be probably 2 batches of 20 rather than painting them all at once, but I do want them to have kind of a unified horde look. I don't want them to have too much character.
And finally, we've got the draw on Monday, so I'm asking everyone this. Is there anything you're looking out for? Anything you're hoping you get or hoping you don't get?
As my army list doesn't include any war machines at all, kind of not excited for forests. I would like to be able to field a level 2 necromancer rather than a level 1. So something like I think it's a shrine is the territory that will allow me to do that, or anything that's going to help me buff up my magic users and their items, because undead are quite reliant on magic to keep them on the table in this edition.
How does it? Yeah, I forget how it works in this edition. Is it if you lose your magic users, does your army disappear, or?
So yeah, magic users are a big thing for vampire counts in this edition. Through their spells, they can keep the unit sizes up. They can summon more zombies and skeletons for free throughout the game, which is quite handy. The disadvantage being is if my general dies, any unit not led by a hero will just vaporize off the table, which I have a feeling is going to cause me some problems.
Yeah, okay, so it's very much trying to get more wizards in is what you're hoping for.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind a few champions. Whites and wraiths are both quite nasty, but cool. Magic is definitely going to be more important for me.
Okay, cool. We'll do the draw on Monday, and we'll get everyone together afterwards, and we'll see how well that went. Thanks.
Best luck to everyone else on the draw. I hope you get some good territories, mostly so I can steal them off you during the campaign.
Brilliant. Great. See you later.
See you later.
Okay, so finally, hi, Gary. What are you playing?
So I'm going to be bringing Fimmer to the campaign.
Okay, that's a strange choice. Why Fimmer?
So first of all, I made a Fimmer Blood Bowl team, and that was just a choice on the Forge World website between Skinwolves or Fimmer. Didn't really know what they were. Bought 6 of them, painted them up, made a Blood Bowl team, and then I had a lot of fun doing that, so I bought more. And I just bought a lot more, put them in a box, waiting to, at some point, do Age of Sigmar, but that never happened. And then this Warhammer Fantasy Battle campaign came up, and I thought, yeah, let's get them out and get them ready and get them done.
A lot of people won't know what Fimmer are. What are they?
So when I did the Blood Bowl team, I didn't know what they were really either. I'd seen them in Hero Quest. They were big orcs. After I made the Blood Bowl team, people told me, oh, they're like these swamp monsters, and they've got this whole dodgy lore behind them where they get slaves and all sorts of things. But basically, they're bog monsters that live in the version of England that exists within the Warhammer Fantasy Battle universe.
Okay, so the models you've got, I think, are the ones from Forge World. What have you got for the army?
Okay, so for the army, I've got a large block of Fimmer, 20 Fimmer. I've got 2 HQ choices, which are the Fimmer Nobles, and I've also got then War Machines, because if you're going to play Warhammer Fantasy Battle, you have to have things throwing rocks. And I've also got 2 dragons, because if you're playing fantasy, you get dragons.
But none of Fimmer and their army didn't really ever exist in the 90s. So what 5th edition army are they being for the purposes of this?
Yeah, so I'm going to use them as orcs and goblins, because I got access to trolls and ogres for the actual blocks of Fimmer. I can have big war bosses to represent the noble, and they also have war machine access, and they've got big beasties and the wyverns, which I can use as counter-as for the dragons.
Cool. Okay, so orcs and goblins with just tons of either ogres or trolls. How are you planning to go about building this? Is it just, are you building to the list, or are you just going to do the whole thing at once, or what?
So my plan is to get the block warriors all done. That's 20 warriors. Once they're done, then I'll reward myself with the HQs, the war machines, and the dragons to round out the army. Once that's finished, I'll look at maybe some goblins and stuff, like conversions of some sort to like give the army flavor.
Okay, I'm asking this to everyone. So big final question is, we've got the draw on Monday night. Are you thinking about lists yet? Or is there anything you particularly want or don't want in the territories?
No, whenever I find out what I've got, then I'll basically turn to everyone and say, help, let's make this work. What can I do with the territories that I've got and the trip choices that I've got available to me? Is orcs and goblins even the correct thing anymore? If I need to change, I'll change it. It'll basically be the troops and the models dictate what the army ends up.
Regardless of what you get or what you roll, you're going to build the models anyway, and then...
Yeah. I mean, if I don't get champions, then the guy with the big sword will just hide at the back.
Yeah, you're probably the person who cares the least about what they roll on Monday then, but we'll all meet up afterwards and see what we get.
Yeah, look forward to it. It's going to be fun.
So, 3 down, just me left. I'm going to be playing Chaos Demons, but I'm not sure which demons yet. A few years ago, I bought a big pile of 90s metal demons, a mix of different release eras, but enough to make an army for each of the Chaos powers. I've already assembled and painted the smaller Tzeentch and Nurgle forces for Age of Sigmar and 40k, but the Khorne and Slaanesh ones are still sitting in the box. So I'm going to play as demons, see what I roll, and then choose between the 2 gods. As Russell mentioned, demons use the Chaos Warband system, and while I should probably take a Demon Prince in a 1500 point game, I can't really resist the chance to take a Greater Demon, which means I'll probably only have 1 Warband, the Greater Demon and all of his mates. I don't think I'll hit more than 25 models, but whatever the list ends up being, I'm going to paint the whole collection as one big batch, probably of around 80 to 100 models, and then just bring whatever I need. It's mostly an excuse to get either my Khorne or Slaanesh out of the pile of shame and finished. But which one it is depends on the roll of the dice. Everyone in the campaign got together on a conference call to do their territory draws, so let's check in with everyone and see how that's affected their army.
35.
That is a trade route.
Yeah, okay, so the draw is done. That was interesting. I got some interesting territories. So the one change that Ben made to the rules are that you, instead of rolling 3 territories, you roll 4, discard 1. Actually, given the amount of gold mines and treasure hoards that showed up, I'm not sure that was necessary, but yeah.
No.
Russ, what did you get?
I'll tell you, first of all, I rejected the trade route because that would have given me a magic item of up to 50 gold. Mainly because I've got a gold mine anyway. That means I can have 3 magic items of up to 100 points each. Not the very best one, which would have been the treasure hoard, but it means I've got a lot of flexibility if I do want magic items, which is helpful. I got a temple, which gives me another magic item up to 75 points, but more importantly, a level 4 wizard, which means that if I want to, I could take a level 4 wizard as my general and a level 4 wizard as my wizard, and just get really silly. But that just sounds like a really bad idea, so that's not going to happen. And a wizard's tower, which is the one that practically is most useful because it means I can have 2 level 1 wizards, which is the one that I think is most likely to actually have an effect on the army. But my plan at the moment is still, to be honest, build it at 1,500 points as if I had no territories at all, and then just prepare the option so that if I want to use a wizard's tower or a temple or whatever, I've got like an alternative thing that I can switch in.
Just paint a few more wizards.
Well, exactly. It's not going to take me long to paint. Well, I've got that many wizards painted already from like 1993 or something. So.
And what about you, Bobbie?
I rolled a village, which is really, really useful. It means I can bring an extra hero, unit champion level hero.
I'll probably attack you and try and get that from you at some point.
Well, yeah, they seem to be quite common, so there's definitely going to be a few villages knocking around. I could do with probably getting another one, so I can be a white and a wraith just to boost up my units. I rolled a trade route, which is a nice extra magic item. A temple, which again, magic item, and level 4, as Russ said. Not sure if I will bring a level 4. It would be a necromancer I'd be bringing, which is real big point sink, 310 points for level 4 necromancer, which...
But aren't your normal troops like 4 points a model or something?
They are quite cheap, yes. but given the biggest thing the necromancer can do is bring in more cheap skeletons and zombies. Yeah. I'm thinking about it. I mean, I'm going to be painting up a whole bunch of necromancers just because they're really nice models. The 4th territory I rolled was a mountain, which is extra monsters. I could have brought a zombie dragon or a manticore, which are cool models. They're very cool character for old models, but it's not in my collection at the moment. So
I have my the old Dieter Hellschnitt manticore there.
Yeah,
with some replacement wings. Yeah, so nothing that massively changes your plans.
Not hugely. I was really hoping for like a level 2 or level 3 wizard, something a little cheaper but still better than the level 1. I think I can work around it with having the extra magic items. Give one of my the necromancer Staff of Damnation, which is a useful magic item that allows me to get my units to act in the magic phase, essentially move or fight in the magic phase.
Mental note, don't let that happen to me.
What about you, Gary?
I got a village, so I get a unit champion, and I got a trade route, which is 1 magic item, gold mine, which is 3 magic items, and a treasure hoard, which is 5 magic items.
And you got rid of the trade route, presumably.
Yeah, so I binned the trade route. So I put 1 magic item in the bin. I've got loads more.
But so I presume the problems there are no one needs 8 fucking magic items at all, and I don't know if you can actually take a unit champion.
No, I have issues if I plan to use ogres primarily, but I'll work it out. I'll have a small unit of goblins in there carrying a big magic thing or two to, like Fimmer have standing stones and such. I'll just model up a standing stone of awesomeness, and that'll be my magic item.
Does this mean you're going to have to buy the battle magic now to figure out what the hell all the magic items are?
Yeah, I've already been looking at it. There's a few in the book, a few banners and things. So I'll find out how it works.
I rolled up. What did I get? A trade route again, so 1 magic item. A pass, which gives me 80 more points, which is useful when you're playing demons because they're all really expensive.
An extra. Did we work out last night? It was an extra 2.5 demonettes or something.
Yeah, it's like it gives me 2 more demonettes, yeah, or 3 more bloodletters, and a gold mine, which gives me 3 magic items. Then I rolled a mountain, which I discarded because no monsters. Yeah, I'm not sure they're that much use, particularly because if I go with Khorne, my bloodthirster is exactly 50% of my army already, so I can't give him any magic items because that would exceed the character's limit.
Although you can now spend 40 points on him because you've got 80 points extra from your pass.
I could spend 40 points and give him a 40-point reward because rewards were ruling as counting as magic items. Yeah, or I could go with Slanesh. I didn't get any wizard stuff, so I could go with Slanesh. I don't know. I'm really tempted to just see if I can fit a bloodthirster and 2 big blocks of bloodletters in and call that a day. Did anyone else think that like there was a lot of magic items flying around?
Yeah.
An awful lot.
Like there were very few forests, though you need to roll a 6 on the big dice for that, I suppose. But the magic items are basically, trade routes, silver mines, gold mines, treasure hoards. So they're not significant, because it's still not significantly more likely than, say, passes, mountains or forests.
And there weren't many wizards rolled. There were a lot of magic items. I'm a bit worried because, Hero Hammer.
It's funny how the dice come out.
Well, yeah, let's adjourn then, and we'll catch up again in a few weeks and see if we've either managed to start building something or managed to start making an army list. Thanks, everyone.
Enjoy your painting and modelling, guys.
See you all later.
Cheers. Yeah, have fun.